Hi, so my name is Philippe. I've been working in the gravitational waves for a couple of years, first in experiment in Brazil at the National Institute for Space Research, INPE, and then I've been working for the LIGO project at UF, the University of Florida. After these years, I decided to travel around the world, and during this trip I've been doing a lot of divulgation, a couple of times in different countries. So in this presentation I will introduce all these things. Let's start by showing my trip.
The lines correspond to the path, so where I went through, and the different colors correspond to the means of transport that you can have a look here. I will not explain everything, just to tell you a couple of things. It took me 2 years to finish this world trip. I started here at UF, University of Florida, by a road trip. I did also the complete Amazonian river by boat. I went to Chile in the desert of Atacama, where I see the telescopes of ESO. I did all this part of Africa and I arrived in Ethiopia. Then I went to Iran, wonderful country, Kyrgyzstan, India, etc. I passed from the Nepal into China, into Tibet. I went all this way to Indonesia and I finished in Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste, I went into Australia, and unfortunately in Australia I was caught by the COVID-19, so I had to end up my trip and flew back home straight. This is 2 years. I put a link if you want to have more pictures. Here. The stars that you are looking at are the place that I've been doing some volunteering or the divulgation. In this talk I will talk about Coaic, Cap Free, Maputo. I will talk about a little school in Tanzania and Tamil Nadu. Let's start by Coaic.
Here I was invited by a friend working at the CIEP, Centro de Investigación de Ecosystem de Patagonia, and another organization doing divulgation in Chile. I was going to present for a general public in the center of town in one hall, so general public, but also there was a specific public. There was a class of students, and actually the students were doing a competition in Chile, and they were awarded a competition in physics, and they were awarded with a prize. So there was a specific public really interested in physics. For this presentation, of course, you have to always adjust the level. I do believe that you don't have to oversimplify. If you oversimplify, you give the false feeling, you don't do a favor to the physicists because you give the feeling that it's easy. So you have to show that there is a certain work behind, but you make it clear. So the people understand why we are doing this, why it's not so easy. Otherwise you produce terraplanists. Everybody believes science is here. Now, after this presentation it went pretty well. So the people were asking a lot of questions. So it's really a rewarding thing. You have at the end, you have the curiosity, they show their curiosity. It's the first rewarding thing. There is also a second event that was really interesting. One of the students was choosing his next steps in the career. He was thinking if he was going or not to study physics. There in Patagonia we are far away from everything, as I said before, and you don't study physics there, so you have to be sure. And I was actually his first physicist meeting, and it's also rewarding because I was giving advice about physics and everything, and helping him choosing the career. Probably he will choose physics now, I hope. And this is a really rewarding feeling to have a certain impact on a certain person. We never know when it's happened. It was completely random, and it's part of the divulgation, this kind of small impacts that you can have somewhere. Now we are going to another place in Brazil.
Em algum forró, num canto ela já não se sabe se boneco ou Cinderela, meio discreto embaixo da luz amarela.
I was invited by a friend. Actually, every place I have been, it's because I was invited by friends all around the world. And here we are in a small university in Cabo Frio. A small university, they don't have that much sections. Actually, there is no physics at all. And I'm going to give the divulgation for biologists. My friend is a marine biologist. So this time I was asked to introduce a little bit more of the objects that we are talking about, the stars, what are the stars, what are the supernova, what are black holes, all these kind of things. And I use actually the movie Interstellar. Movie Interstellar was a good thing too, because everybody saw this movie, so they have an idea of what I was talking. So I just saw some pictures from the movie, and it helps to introduce the ideas of what I'm talking about. Of course, I had questions, but this time it was a little bit funnier because they asked questions about everything, not necessarily gravitational waves or something like that, but they were asking questions about life in other planets, probably because they are biologists, so they were of course interested in if I believe in life in other planets. So it was really interesting, these kind of new questions for me. Always it's rewarding to have new people asking new things, challenging you. A couple of days after, I went in a field trip with them, and it was also a nice experience because even a few days after, they were asking questions about the presentation, about physics, everything. So they knew that I started the curiosity. So again, another rewarding thing. After this, Cabo Frio, we are going to another place. Now we are going to Maputo in Mozambique. At Maputo, two new professors are trying to develop a section of astrophysics. Both, if I'm not mistaken, are doing gamma ray bursts, so the subjects are pretty limited in this kind. Therefore, when my friend knew that I was coming, it took the opportunity to ask me for a presentation on gravitational waves. Here I was, once again on my iPad, preparing slides. The presentation was pretty nice, so there were the students of physics, but it was open for all university. I had a big variety of public. It was really nice to present in front of all these people. Here I will not comment that much. There is another thing that was a little bit more funny, another kind of divulgation. A couple of days after, I was there still with my friend at the University of Maputo, and I arrived in the morning and he says, "Oh, do you have time? Please, I get an introduction class." So I had to present what it is to be a physicist in the world. And the students were asking me a lot of questions, how our careers, or how they can go to Germany, all these kind of things. I believe this is another kind of divulgation, trying to explain how to do the career outside Mozambique, what it looked like. I really found this experience interesting to explain then what it is to do postdocs around the world. Now, just to conclude this part of Maputo, this is a main university, so they have means, but you see they are still struggling to get the information, the papers, the things, so it's not completely easy for them to get into the game of the big universities. And this is a point that to remember when we are talking about open science. Now, let's go to another place in Africa, to Tanzania, where I've been teaching for 2 weeks. I went to a small village near the Lake Victoria in Tanzania. So I was teaching here for 2 weeks. Mathematics, English, and other things. It was a really nice experience because it was with kids from the age 3 to 6. 3 was really a specific case, but principally 4, 5, 6, so before the primary school. The kids were nice. Well, most of them. I had to learn really quickly in English how to say "be quiet," but it was a really beautiful experience. One afternoon, I took one afternoon to make a small divulgation for the kids, actually, to show them something. Let's have a look at the slides that I presented them.
So I had 4 slides, practically. The idea was just to give an idea about what is science. I also took this opportunity to give them some ideas about the world, and indeed I told them about the planets. That was, for most of them, the first time that they were hearing about the planets. They knew, of course, the sky, the Nyota, the stars, and Z. Yes, at this time I knew a little bit of Kiswahili. I learned it. And then I just ended up with some games, learning the name of the planets with some songs. That was the mini vulgarization. No gravitational waves, of course. Okay, let's go to Kodaikanal, the last place.
Kodaikanal, it's a nice place actually for Indian couples. It's a romantic place. They come here because it's fresh, it's in altitude, but also because it's in altitude. In the 20th centuries, they built a solar observatory. This solar observatory is still active today. They renew some installations, they put new telescopes, and it's a really interesting place. As I said before, because of the landscape, it's magnificent, and also because of the altitude, 2,000 meters, something like that. So I've been visiting here the institute, and I give them a talk about gravitational waves. But this time I'm not going to talk about my talk, actually, but more about the thing that I've been learning a lot. So Kodaikanal, I learned more than probably I gave them about the instruments, how the people is living here. In all my trip, it was the same. I've been learning a lot from the people. Here, for example, curiosities, they are only a small community of researchers, students and professors, and they all share their meals. The meals are free, so there is some kitchens organizing. You go to the living room, a common living room in an old house, and the students and teachers, they eat together, they talk, and then they continue working in their activities. So there is this kind of community. It was really interesting. As I say, during my trip, I've been learning a lot of things about humanity. So now it's time to talk about a little bit this conclusion. Of course, I'm not that smart as this guy, or I don't do good vulgarization as this guy, but I've been trying to share my knowledge, and I believe I had a small impact on the people that I met. Every place I've been through, they are doing science. They are doing science with the means that they have, which is not so easy for them. And that's why I really do believe in open science. We do need to share papers, means to develop science, knowledge, even with the citizens. Open science should be a goal for humanity. In all these places, they are trying hard to, as I say, to do science. And if I can say, like Newton said, if I see further, it's because I was standing on the shoulders of giants. Giving them the possibility to do science as we do, sharing the papers, the knowledge, everything, even means or new applications, they can stand also on the shoulders of the giants. And seeing humanity as one whole, we are losing a lot of potential. So many smart people and curious people that I saw around the world, we are losing a lot of potential. All these people can contribute to the growing of our knowledge, the growing of our humanity.